For more on this developing situation, I want to welcome on Texas State Representative Mays Middleton. So, State Representative, when we talk about this issue, Facebook's been in the news now for the better part of 4 years. Democrats will use it as a catalyst of saying that it helped President Trump in 2016. Of course, then there was the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Facebook has been a center point of politics, despite maybe its best efforts. So when it comes to this latest situation, can you break down exactly for me and our viewers what is going on?
So right now, Facebook is under investigation from our State Attorney General, Ken Paxton, under the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act. And he's looking actually to see if they improperly collected biometric identifiers and data from individuals. And, you know, in the state of Texas, unfortunately, an individual cannot bring a claim against them for that. It's got to be our State Attorney General that does that. So that was actually through an act that was passed in 2009. And at this point, I think the law needs to change. Obviously, next session, it's up to our State Attorney General to investigate it. And look, we have a lot of reason to do this. We know that Facebook puts its thumb on the scale, and they put their thumb on the scale against conservatives for years. In my area, we have a little newspaper called Liberty Vindicator. And a couple of years ago, all they did was they printed the Declaration of Independence. They published it online and on their Facebook page, and it was flagged as hate speech and pulled down. So, you know, we obviously have some big issues with Facebook, and I look forward to the outcome of this investigation by our State Attorney General on possible improper collection of biometric data.
And when we talk about that biometric data, too, I think it's important to remember exactly what that is. I mean, that is essentially what fuels Facebook. They take this information in order to target ads against certain individuals who will be more willing to buy certain things. I mean, it's really advertisement that fuels Facebook's revenue. So when we're talking about them taking our data, it's not just a privacy concern for a lot of individuals, but it's also how they make their money. So we are essentially using our information to make them money to some degree. And to your point that you were just saying, a lot of conservatives saying as they do this, they're also censoring us. They say that we don't have a voice for this. We don't have the proper place, even in the algorithm, where a story, for example, might not get shown to the same amount of people as maybe a different story with a different perspective. Representative Matt Gaetz is making that very claim against Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg. So is this an issue that conservatives do need to start focusing more on, acknowledging the fact that if they don't address this, they might not have a platform to even get their ideas out there?
Absolutely. You know, I've been concerned for years, and a lot of it is how are we informed? Do we have true informed consent, or is this an opt-in until we know how to opt out? Because what I think is that anything related to biometrics or owning your own data, or even it goes as far as we don't have necessarily the best legal rights for our own DNA, right? That's a big issue right now around the country. So this needs to be a clear, informed consent. People need to have to opt out in writing, or opt in, in writing. And unfortunately, that's really not happening in a lot of cases right now. So we've seen that also with contact tracing in our state. I'm very concerned about informed consent with that as well. You know, it's said that it's voluntary. It's a statewide program, but there are a lot of areas that I don't trust to really inform people, like, the Harris County Judge, Lena Hidalgo. I don't trust her health department to properly inform people that it truly is voluntary. I mean, if you have a doctor calling you and saying you need to do this, well, that's not really informed consent. You feel like you've got to do it. That's not voluntary. And I actually know of someone in my area in Galveston County where a contact tracer called them, and they refused to answer the questions, and they said, okay, we're going to mark you down as positive, and then hung up.
And when it comes to the social media debate, too, I mean, some of the plans of recourse that we hear mentioned are doing away with Section 230 type of things, or maybe even instituting some sort of Bill of Rights for individuals to have on the internet. Because when you take away an account from someone that has 100,000 plus followers, that's almost like taking away a 6-digit asset from those individuals. It's something that is very hard to work up, and a lot of marketing companies would pay a lot of money for that. But you bring up the idea of contract tracing, too, and I do want to pivot to this idea of coronavirus and how it plays into the election as well, because a lot of Democrats are saying that with Texas right now seeing a surge in cases, that Texas may be competitive come the 2020 presidential election. Is that what you're seeing right now? Do you agree with that notion?
Well, I think it's kind of funny that the Democrats are suddenly so pro-life, right? I mean, they're the ones that say we need to shut down everything to save lives, and yet they're the ones that have never done anything to protect the lives of the unborn. For years they've opposed all of our pro-life legislation. So, at the end of the day, Texas is about individual responsibility and protecting people's rights to make a living and provide for their family.
Hmm.
And that's what we've got to fight for. And that's a lot of times what we're actually not seeing fought for in this pandemic. It's protecting people's rights. And, I reject the idea that to have safety, we have to give up freedom. We don't. They can both exist together, they are not exclusive. So we need to make sure that message is heard loud and clear. I think it absolutely will be in November. The Republican Party is the party that wants to help small businesses, that wants to help your family survive, that wants to allow your child the choice to go back to school in person and allow you the choice to open your business and decide where you want to shop and make your own decisions in life. So, I mean, we're the party of opportunity, and I think the voters will see that come November.
And we hear that from a lot of our viewers, as well as a lot of the individuals who come on this program as well. They say kind of what you're saying is that Republicans need to use this opportunity to stand up for their values, fight for those values, because as of recently, a lot of them are kind of displeased with the idea that many elected officials have kind of rolled over on a lot of these issues, whether it's been what we see happening on the streets, whether it's the spending going on. They don't necessarily like the fight that they're seeing in a lot of conservatives. So to hear that, I think, will come as good news for a lot of them. But State Representative Middleton, I appreciate you coming on tonight, breaking down what's happening in the state of Texas and what's going on social media. Thank you.